everyone. Thank you so much for attending today's session and for giving me opportunity to share my experience. I've chosen the topic of enhancing learning experiences using GenAI, but very happy to talk to you offline about any other industry use cases. So let's begin. I would like to take an approach of industry overview, very quick, very brief, and then jump into the use case that we've chosen for today. So to start with, want to ask what fascinates you with AI and learning. I always wonder when I was learning or I was spending majority of my time learning in my childhood. I wish I had all these smart tools available, and I wish I could seek more knowledge, learn more things, connect more dots, and so on. Right. So I genuinely feel that AI has a lot to offer to education industry and to larger community overall across the globe. Um, that in mind, how does data and AI help the education industry? So broadly, there are three buckets. One is increasing the reach of education, getting right people to uh, universities, to schools, helping them get enrolled, and also helping them with finances or any other planning. So everything around enrollments and education reach. The second bucket, which is a big one and which we'll be spending more time on today, is transforming the actual learning experience. What does a student go through when they enroll for a learning course? And what does instructor go through, and how do we fundamentally change that experience, and how do you make it profound? How do you make it effective? How do you make it memorable, and so on? Third bucket that data and AI impacts is managing overall operating cost. I mean, this applies to all industries, this applies to all large enterprises. All of this powered by modern data platform, enabled by cloud, and all the new features that we have in today's world to leverage. Now, we won't be able to talk a lot about data foundation today, but I do want to mention this, that none of the AI use cases can scale in production without right data foundation. So if you are on this journey, I encourage you to make sure that the data foundation is in place and has the right um, feature sets available for making the AI solution possible. This is a typical data platform. As an example, we've shown Databricks and Azure, but it can be built on any technology tech stack. Data sources on the left getting ingested in the data platform. This is a typical medallion architecture. There are various different architectures we can use, and use of different solutions to build AI use cases, or data products, if you could call it. And all of this to enable differentiated user experiences, all of this to enable efficient operations. Now, taking a next step and getting into the use case in focus, I do want to bring in a real use case we picked up for a customer of ours when, GenAI was out there in public domain and just announced, and everybody was trying to use it in real use cases and help the real users. So in this case, we have a customer who has been providing various solutions to education industry from over 100 years, and we wanted to completely revamp instructors life cycle, how instructor teaches a course, how instructor gives assignments, creates assignments, checks grades, and so on. So today we'll talk about that. The problem in this space was that the user application available to instructors was a bit archaic. It did not use the modern user experience best practices. Instructor had to have physical books on the table and also refer static list of questions from a predefined question bank. Does not work in today's scenario when typically instructors want to improvise and adapt the assignments they create for students, and students also expect adaptive assignments. So as a solution, we decided to completely revamp the experience. We wanted to make sure we follow the objectives of giving content at the right time, making it discoverable for instructors, giving them related content bits fairly easily. So, for example, if you're taking an advanced maths course and creating assignment for that, then it should also show related math topic or other topics in the assignment if required. Overall, we do want to look at reducing the time that it takes to create assignments, because this happens quite frequently during a course that students take. Now, going forward, in order to solve this, in addition to having a strong product team, user experience team, and having very iterative experience for instructor, we wanted to make sure we back this by the latest and greatest. We have AI to support the instructor in creation of this. We chose AWS and we chose Anthropic Claude. The reason is the client was already a AWS shop. They were using all native services from AWS, so Bedrock came in handy. It was very easy to integrate Bedrock and its features with the rest of the AWS ecosystem the client was already using. We tested various models, and what was important to us primarily was accuracy, latency, and also data security. Claude passed all the tests we had, and then we decided to use Claude with Bedrock. We used knowledge base, LangChain, prompt templates, chain of thought prompting, and so on, and also guardrails for implementing responsible AI. With that, I do want to share some challenges that we faced. We will not be able to discuss everything in today's session because of the time. However, I'll try to cover a few critical ones. First, hallucination and inconsistency. We noticed that in many cases, the model was hallucinating, giving answers or giving suggestions outside of the context. For example, instructor is creating assignment for chapter 3, and then it would create questions from a different chapter. Many such examples. So we addressed it using very strong prompt engineering. We used documentation from AWS, from Bedrock, from Claude. We used a lot of brainstorming sessions, and then we provided really good prompt templates. We also provided very clear structured instructions and limited the model scope for giving the answers. Another thing that significantly helped was semantic data restructuring. So organizing the source material into structured format really helped with model accuracy. With this way, we addressed the hallucination and accuracy problem. Second problem was latency. Now, in order to have right experience, right information, right user workflow, we had several interactions between model and various backend services and UI. And all of this often took a long time. So in worst cases, user had to wait for 10 to 15 seconds. And you can imagine in today's world, that's impossible wait time. Beyond a second, user gets frustrated. So we addressed it using various methods, combining the best practices of GenAI architecture as well as overall enterprise architecture patterns. So the first one helped was displaying intermediate thoughts. So when a user gives some inputs, we displayed, hey, AI is thinking in this manner, and these are the intermediate steps. We also used streaming responses from LLM. So it reduced the perceived latency. So some UX tips over there, right? And what helped really significantly was prompt caching. So any static parts of the prompt or any static information that does not change with every request was cached, and it reduced the time, and it also improved the token cost. Good documentation on prompt caching on Anthropic's site. The third challenge that I want to discuss today is scaling. There were, rate limits from Claude, and there were context size constraints. In order to overcome those problems, we used various methods. First one being, the rate limiting for user interactions. We would allow only one question at a time for the instructor, instead of allowing them to have multiple inputs, multiple questions asked at a time, so on. Helped with tokens per minute, helped with requests per minute. Second is optimizing context size, minimizing the context size by removing unnecessary words, by rephrasing, by summarizing, things like those. So optimizing the context size has been useful for us in this use case and many other use cases we implemented outside. We also had a really good relationship with AWS, so we are premium partners. The client also had been using AWS for a very long time for various implementations. So we reached out to AWS for increasing service quotas, and they did. They were very cooperative. That also helped in this case. And scaling, of course, also gets benefited from prompt caching. There were many other challenges, but I would like to limit to three for today. And if you have any questions, I would be very happy to talk. All in all, this was successful in production. We saw more than 90% positive response. We have hundreds of titles live, and more are getting published with every release, with every sprint. And we got really good qualitative feedback. So this was a great experience, good learning. And with that, I would like to, go back to where we started. What excites you with AI and learning? What is your learning experience? And a lot of these challenges and architecture patterns are applicable to different industry use cases. So if you have anything to discuss, would be very happy to connect on LinkedIn. Do drop in a message. Once again, thank you so much for your time and for listening to my experience. Thank you. Bye.